the president of the AKINYI ODONGO group. No, the AKINYI ODONGO. This amazing coat, made in Kenya, excellently tailored. And let me tell you something about the care for this product. Not only does she source quality fabrics, this one I said, you know what? Dry cleaned? Yes. Thank you, I accept. This is Double O Direct. I'm Olivia Otieno. For the last couple of hours, we've been talking about digital technology for women in business. Thank you for coming on to Double O Direct.
Thank you, Olivia.
Thank you for dressing me. How amazing is this coat? You know what, you're gonna have to go on to SpiceFM KE. I'm gonna do a photo shoot. I'm gonna do a little twirl because it is amazing. What is this coat made of?
Thank you, Olivia, for the invite. You caught me off guard, right? I mean, the coat is 100% Kenyan.
Yes.
When I say 100% Kenyan, means that the fabric has been manufactured in Kenya.
Lies.
Of course. This is a fabric from Bedi in Nakuru. Made in Nakuru.
The
fabric is made in Nakuru. It's a fleece fabric and a mixture of rayon and cotton.
Yes.
And it's local, 100% local. So
buy Kenya, build Kenya. That is the message. AKINYI ODONGO, tell me about not just yourself, but about AKINYI ODONGO, the brand.
Wow. Firstly, I would like to honor God. I mean, this far, it has been God, you know. Our brand is not just as a person, but also as everything that we do.
Yes.
Everything that we do under the AKINYI ODONGO brand is quality, timelessness, as we consider that, and also the story that we tell on every product or anything that we do. It's quality.
And how long have you been on this journey?
Wow. This has been an over 20-year journey. Over 20 years. Over 20 years.
Yes.
From being a jack of all trades, doing everything myself, being the tailor, the designer, the messenger, everything, literally.
Yes.
So it has grown from, you know, very small one-man show to an area where we have very many people doing different parts of the company.
Yes.
And I thank God for that. It's been quite a journey.
It's incredible. Now, I saw that you dressed the First Lady. I'm sure that was one of your highlights in your career path for AKINYI ODONGO. What are some of the other highlights that people might not necessarily be aware of?
I think I have very many highlights in my career. The latest one is the launch of Kenya Fashion Council. You know, as an industry in Kenya, we haven't had a body that represents the whole industry.
Yes.
That can be able to engage government and you know, have the public-private partnership in regard to, you know, just talking matters fashion and what affects the fashion designers in Kenya. And it's been quite a long journey. And 2 weeks ago, we launched at Strathmore University.
I saw that, but I don't really understand because I always assumed the Kenya Fashion Council existed, that you were registered, that you'd been in existence for over 10 years.
We have been in existence for about 4 years.
Okay.
But it was an official launch, you know, where we needed now everybody to be public and say, this is the body that represents the fashion industry in Kenya. We were supposed to launch in 2020, but because of COVID, everything was cancelled, that there was no event, so we postponed it to further notice. So then 2 weeks ago, it was an opportunity for us to launch, and we had CS Betty Maina and Amina Mohammed, you know, come and just stamp it and, you know, encourage us moving, because it's been quite a journey. Quite a journey.
So tell me now, what does the council represent? What are some of the key mandates? Educate me on the works of the council.
The council, it's a body that is going to represent the fashion industry players.
Yes.
And when I talk about the fashion industry players, we've got the photographers, we've got models, we've got designers, we have got jewelry makers, we have got content creators in matters fashion.
Yes.
And it's high time we spoke with one voice and represented some of because the challenges we face are almost similar. And the only way to change policies also engage government. I can't do it as a king, as an individual, even as a brand. Or you as Olivia, assume you're a designer. It's very hard to engage with government or even international bodies as an individual.
Yes.
But as a body, we are able to represent and engage government and other bodies to implement some of the policies that we'd like to change. So the changes that we need to see in the industry, we are able to engage at that level. So it's quite a milestone.
your role within the council is?
My role, I am a founder, director, and also the current chair
wow.
of Kenya Fashion Council. I've been playing that role for the last 3 years now, and I'm hopeful that once the foundation has been set, I'll be able to step aside for the next person to take over and push the council to the next level, because
Founding chair.
the founding chair, and of course the foundation is very important. So what has been created is a stepping stone for the next generation. I'm very passionate about the next generation.
Yes.
And see, because the world is moving towards the orange economy. I mean, we are the revolution. Creative space is the revolution of the next. It's the next big thing. So if we don't put our houses in order, then we may not be able to benefit. So this, for me, is a great milestone, not just for myself, but for an industry that is very critical in this nation and also in Africa. So watch this space. Kenya Fashion Council will be the body.
Wonderful. How can those in the industry get access to council services or even interact with the council?
You can go online to
Yes.
our website, www.kenyafashioncouncil.co.ke. Our membership details are there. You can click and be a member. There are different categories that you can join as an individual, as a limited company, as an organization. You can be able to join and be part of the movement.
I love it.
Yeah.
Your passion for future generations is actually one of the reasons why you're here today, because you started an institute. It's not just about AKINYI ODONGO, the fashion brand, anymore.
You know, Olivia, sometimes you may do things, but you're doing it for your own self. And sometimes you get into a space, and being a born-again Christian, very strong in, you know,
Yes.
I'm always very vocal on just indicating this, that I'm a
Yes.
born-again Christian. And I ask myself very difficult questions sometimes. I ask myself the question, I put myself on there and answer them as well. I say,
yes.
after this, then what?
Yes.
My journey to create the brand to where it is right now has been full of challenges and full of, experiences that some are very painful, some are very exciting. It's a mixture of different feelings and
Yes.
different experiences.
Yes,
So then
yes.
I ask myself, what is the solution that I'm creating
Yes.
for the problems that I've been able to face and probably overcome,
Yes.
or in the process of overcoming some? Then I have to put myself into my own meeting room and say, what is the solution of this? If after doing my fashion course, I went out and I don't know where to go. The ocean is too big. Maybe I've just been swimming in a small little pond, and I'm drowning, so I don't know where to go. And I'm like, what? And because I've drowned and tried to survive and gasped some water and almost dying, and I've survived, I'm like, oh, I need to create a solution for that. And then through that, then I create Fashion Agenda Africa, where now I mentor younger designers on how to plug into the space.
Yes.
Then I'm like, the training I got, which is amazing. What are the needs when I have students coming into my fashion house for attachment? I see a lot of gaps. Like, what is the solution? I can't beat myself, I'm like, what can I create that is different and do it professionally well and also do it the right way? Then I said, oh, I need to register an institution that will be able to train designers, that
Yes.
other fashion designers will be able to find employees who are fitting into the fashion space, understands how to run their business and all that. Then MEFA Institute of Design
Yes.
is born.
Yes.
And when you create the name, it's a name. So what is the next step? How do we become a legal entity? It meant I have to register with government. I have to start finding out what does the government need? What do I need to do as a business owner? What
Yes.
do I need to know? What do I need to do to own an institution that is recognized by that is licensed,
Yes.
that's recognized? It's a process. It's a
Yes.
process that took us
Yes.
about 3 years.
Yes.
And finally, we are now registered and licensed by government. We are recognized. We are able to do exams,
Yes.
doing diploma, certificate, and artisan courses. And because of my passion and wanting things done properly and right, so those are the things that push me. And lastly,
Yes.
to the children's program.
Yes.
I grew up in a village in Siaya called
Yes.
Rangala.
Rangala.
And my creativity was, nobody could ever understand me. I was this child that people thinking that she's crazy, she's mad, what is this? I mean, where will these things take you? I remember in school, like, teachers could tell me, art will take you nowhere, And because of that confusion of not being understood, but I still pressed on to pursue what I really love to do, because I feel this is my purpose, this is my area of calling. I said, there could be children out here who who are so creative, and probably their parents don't know what to do with them. And I wouldn't want to feel or one day meet a child said, I wanted to be a designer, but my parent didn't support me. I'm like, no.
There was nowhere to go.
Nowhere to go. I'm like, no. We have to create a space for the children and then create this whole cycle of a value chain that you have the kids getting into the school for fashion. They can grow into the college level. They can now come to Fashion Agenda Africa for mentoring for them to move into the world of fashion. So then that's how Wanawatindo was born.
Wanawatindo. MEFA Institute of Fashion, Institute of Design, Kenya Fashion Council, so much more coming up with AKINYI ODONGO. Yeah. Request line Zain on 94.4 Nairobi is listening to SpiceFM. Good afternoon. I'm Olivia Otieno. This is Double O Direct. Women hosts, music by women, women guests. I'm dressed by a different woman in fashion each week. This amazing coat is by AKINYI ODONGO. You need to find her online, AKINYI ODONGO Kenya. You can find her on Instagram. Also, just Google it because she also has an amazing institute, MEFA Institute of Design, which is what we're talking about right now. I'm joined by Nicole, who's an alumni. Nicole, have you always wanted to be in fashion?
Yes, I have. Actually, that dream started back when I was in class 3, 9 years old, when I used to watch Kimberly Simmons, and I was like, I want to do that. I want to do that, because it was always on Style Network. So that's when my dream for fashion started.
And what has your journey been like?
So before I got to MEFA, I was at UON for a few months, and I decided, no, this is not the place for me, so I made the jump.
But were you studying fashion at UON?
No, I wanted to study fashion, but you always start off with art and design. By the time you get to fashion, you've done 2 years. Then in the 3rd year is when you start fashion. But then because of the things that were happening, I was just like, no, I really want to study fashion, so I'm going to make a change, which was definitely not easy, because you've gone to one place and you have to go tell your parents, I want to make a change. So trying to tell them that was a bit difficult for me, but I decided I've just got to suck it up and tell them. And I'm glad that they jumped on it and they were for it. And I went to, as I was looking for schools, my mom is now talked about MEFA. And she told me, because it was during a church event that AKINYI had gone to speak. And my mom talked about MEFA, and we got to talk to AKINYI, and I started my journey at MEFA June 2018.
Wow.
Yeah.
So how was it, and how many years were you there?
I was there for 3 years doing the diploma. It was interesting at first because the school had just started. Everyone is like, why are you going to a school where there are not many people? Why are you there? Why are you not in some other school? And for me, that really tested my faith, because everyone was constantly questioning me. But I'm just like, no, I've chosen to be here. I must be here, whether everyone agrees with me or not. And I used to talk to AKINYI, and I'm so grateful for AKINYI, because she'd encourage me. And I'll be like, you know what, I'm here, whether I'm alone or not. I'll
like
be
that.
here. Yeah.
So year one, describe year one for me.
Year one was interesting, because it was more of theory, I guess, because they're introducing you. And for me, in my mind, I thought you just get into it.
You get a sewing machine and you're off.
And you're off. But of course, it's theory. They have to introduce you, and they introduce you, and yeah.
I need to know details. What does that mean, they introduce you? I know nothing about fashion other than the fact that I'm highly fashionable. But what does that actually mean? You were there for an entire year being introduced to what?
So there's the pattern drafting. They give you the basics. So a pattern is the basics of a garment. That's what you use to create your garments. They introduce you into illustration, being able to draw your designs, and being able to color them and express yourself. There's also a subject called Textile Science that deals with learning the basics of the fabrics, the fibers, what creates the fabrics, how they're made, and all that. And there's definitely maths, which I was never a fan of maths, but of course, as you're designing, you need maths in your pattern drafting. You need to understand how measurements are used, how you calculate to get your patterns and ensure the pattern fits the person properly.
That's incredible. And then year two?
Year two was sort of disrupted with COVID.
Yeah.
So there's not much, though we had online, which I think went quite smoothly for a first time doing online classes. But There wasn't much because of the disruption due to COVID, yeah.
When did you start designing your own clothes? Or when did you start having more of a practical experience?
I'd say towards my third year, from the end of second year to now my third year, because third year was more practical. So that's when I'd be given projects and told, go design this, go create that. And then towards the end of my third year, we had a project which allowed us to create a collection. And after that, I've been sort of growing my skills as I continue to make myself garments.
What did you find, most challenging in those 3 years? I know you had COVID right in the middle, and that's a challenge in and of itself. But with regards to wanting to go into fashion, wanting to be in fashion school, what were some of the challenges that you may not have expected that occurred?
One of the challenges I'd say is, especially when learning the pattern drafting, yeah, because it's the base of it. It was a bit difficult at first and it didn't make sense. So it was challenging because you think, you'll get the machine and boom, you're ready to go, but no, you needed to understand the patterns. And also say another struggle I had was, I think you assume once you get a machine, you'll be perfect. And you're not. One thing sewing will do to you is humble you. You're not perfect at the get-go. It took me 3 years for me to get to where I am. It wasn't an immediate thing, and I think maybe you always see the pictures on Instagram or you see the pictures on someone's profile and you assume that, oh, I'm going to be like that at the get-go, but it takes time and it takes practice.
What did you just love about it? What were some of your highlights for being at MEFA?
I think my highlight must have been when we went to KQ, there was a competition that Kenya Airways did, and we were asked to come up with products that could be used in and off flight from recyclable uniforms. I think that for me was a highlight because being an introvert, I had to explain my ideas together with my schoolmates. I had to explain my ideas. I had to come up with ideas. I had to be confident enough to describe them, which really was throwing me in the deep end because I'm usually the kind of person who'd rather be behind the scenes, but this time I was thrown forward. But it was such a highlight for me because we came second place runner-up to UON, and it made me believe that I'm in the right place, and it gave me the confidence that I can do it despite being an introvert.
I love it. What advice do you have for other young women who are looking to get into fashion and, or even a younger version of yourself?
A younger version of me, I tell her to go for it and not be afraid, because fear will definitely stop you. For younger women, go for it. Even if you're not able to get into fashion school, there's YouTube. That's what I use to learn. Even after finishing my diploma, I still continue to learn with YouTube. Don't be afraid, go for it. If it means you have to work in the evening, to learn in the evening, go ahead and do it, yeah.
Amazing. Alumni, MEFA Institute of Design. Nicole, thank you so much for joining me today on Double O Direct. Good afternoon, this is Double O Direct. I'm Double O. I'm Olivia Otieno. Welcome to Women in Fashion. Every week on Double O Direct, I'm dressed by a different woman in fashion. And today it is my extreme pleasure to once again welcome the most talented AKINYI ODONGO. Streaming on standardmedia.co.ke. Good afternoon, this is Double O Direct, a safe space for all women. Women hosts, music by women. I'm dressed by a different woman in fashion every single week. I'm Olivia Otieno, and joining me is the president of the AKINYI ODONGO Group. She's also the current chair and founding chair of the Kenya Fashion Council. I need to know more about the MEFA Institute of Design, because you're more than just the AKINYI ODONGO brand, aren't you?
Yes. As I mentioned to you earlier, that I had to ask myself the question of, then what? After this, then what? And then I'm in the journey of creating solutions to the problems that I've been able to see in the industry. So having a fashion college that we purely deal in fashion. We don't do any other, we don't add any other course to our portfolio. We are purely a fashion and design institute. So we don't have hair or makeup or all that. Everything of ours will be just around fashion. So probably we'll be adding fashion photography or fashion film and all that. And we at MEFA Institute of Design, we offer diploma in fashion that takes 3 years, and then we have certificate, which is 2 years, and artisan, which is 1 year. And we are also an exam center. Our exams are NEC exam, which is government recognized, and we are looking into offering certification to even tailors and people who have been in the skill before and they've not got certification, so that we are able to do that with them. It's one of the program that I was able to be involved in with NITA, where we have created a certification program where we are able to certify artisans who are already in the skill, because you find there are so many artisans doing different things. They have the skills, but they never went to an official school for training. But now the government is looking into issuing them with a proper certification. They do an exam and then get the certification. So that's the direction that we are moving into. And just creating a solution for the creative space and ensuring that every skill is being recognized and being, risen to the next level. So that's what MEFA Institute does. So we do have our intakes in January, May, and September. So we already did our January intake. We are looking forward to May. So we call upon those who've got creative children who are college level to join us at MEFA Institute of Design. We are located on Moringa Road in Kilimani area in Nairobi. Yeah.
You've talked about certification. Do you have accreditation?
Yes, MEFA Institute of Design is accredited and licensed by TVETA. So we are a legally recognized institution by government.
Wonderful. And when you talk about intake, how many students can you take in at any given time?
The capacity that we have, because we are the capacity that the government has given us is 80 students right now because of the space that we have.
Yes.
But we are hoping to grow bigger as time goes by. So right now we have a capacity of 80 students.
When did you actually open the MEFA Institute of Design?
In 2017.
2017, wow.
2017.
Yes.
It was a startup, a learning curve, doing the registration, trying to market and get students. And of course, when you're starting something that is new, people, as Nicole was just mentioning, that people would say, why are you going to that college? It has no history, it has no students,
Yes.
And just to see that there are parents who are able to support and see the value of even allowing their students, whether they were 2 or 3 in the college, and to be with us in that period of time, it's something that we really thank God for, because it's not an easy thing to open and even find one student.
Yes.
I want to believe all the institutions have that journey of starting when nobody believes in you, or people think, is it here, not there? But yeah. So we are hopeful for the future, and we look into having more students and probably grow into a university in future.
Love it. And you talked about the future. You're also nurturing a much younger generation, aren't you?
Yes,
AKINYI?
we are. As I'd mentioned earlier as well, I grew up as a child who was not understood as much. My creativity was, parents would think, what's wrong with you? Why are you tearing all my clothes? Why are you doing all these things?
Yes.
And because of that journey, I reflected back and said, probably there are children out here who are also creative, and probably they don't have the support that they need. But because God has enabled me to grow my brand to where it is right now, I felt there's a need to fill into that gap and create space for the children to also come and be nurtured. I think when you expose a child to a skill, it is very easy for them to know, this is what I want to be. But if you tell them, no, don't do that, and you haven't let them be exposed to that environment, they may grow up thinking that my mom, my dad refused me to do this thing. So I think the environment that we have created in Wanawatindo is where kids are able, we have a schooling program for children. We have the Sindano, which is the first course that they do. It's a 6-week course, 2 hours per week. And then we go to Cherahani, which is understanding the machine and learning through the machine. And then we go to one Mitindo, where now they are taught matters of designing, creating lookbooks, understanding what needs to be done. Then we go to Takamali. Takamali is recycling and upcycling, because we need to teach our kids that we have to be very, as a brand, as a AKINYI ODONGO brand, we create pieces that are conscious. We want to create a piece that you'll wear for a long time. We don't believe in fast fashion where you wear and throw away. We believe in creating creating quality products that you're able to wear for 10 years, 20 years, and even hand down to the next generation. So the Takamali part is also to instill this thought through the children and understand that you can create and recreate out of the things that you have around you. So Takamali is very key, and they're also able to do undugu process, where they're able to collect all the clothes that maybe they don't wear, and then we contribute them to the children's home wherever they are. So we are literally teaching that it's not just about business and money, it's about also thinking. And then the last course is Mwanabiashara, where we teach them on business, because if I was taught business when I was young, I think I would be further than where I am right now. So we teach them about business, how to run their business, because they've learned the hands teachers, they've learned with the machine, they know how to create. And we tell them now, as we talk to the parents, we tell them now, from today on, after the course is done, these kids will be charging you for every work they do for you at home. If they are mending the bottles, they can now talk to their uncles, their neighbors, and collect all the torn clothes and mend and get paid. And also have an account. We work with the parents to maybe create business names for them to grow. There are some already who have businesses and they're running. So it's just to create that little me in something and for the brighter future.
I love it. I love it. And I have the pleasure of talking to one such talented young woman. Her name is Debbie, in a few minutes. This is Double O Direct. I'm Olivia Otieno. Every Saturday from 10 a.m., music by women. I host women, and I'm a woman myself in and of itself. We've been talking about digital technology for women in business. I want to thank everyone at Visa for making that happen. And now we're in the hour of fashion. I'm joined by my woman in fashion this week, AKINYI ODONGO. She is the current chair of the Kenya Fashion Council, founding chair. She's also the president of the AKINYI ODONGO Group and the woman behind the MEFA Institute of Design. Plus, Debbie. Debbie is a trainee at Wanawatindo, which is another entrepreneurship journey that AKINYI ODONGO has ventured into, bringing inspiration and a safe space for young people in fashion. Welcome, Debbie.
Thank you.
Tell me about your journey in Wanawatindo.
Well, it's been totally amazing. I've learned a lot so far, including hand needlework and using the machine and drafting, which is by far the most challenging.
How did you hear about Wanawatindo?
My mom noticed that I had an interest in these kinds of fashion, so she Googled and looked for one near me.
Wonderful. And how long have you been there?
I think I've been here for like 3 months now.
Yes.
And I've really enjoyed my time there.
So tell me some of the things that you've managed to create or experience while at Wanawatindo.
While I was at Wanawatindo, I actually managed to make three dresses with the machine. And yeah, I made a dress and I drafted the dress.
AKINYI, how did you feel when you got that call or that email or that text from Debbie's mom?
It's very interesting because I think Debbie's mom met me through Facebook. There's a Facebook group of African women in business. And there was, I think a mother posted a photo of a child who had created an outfit made out of, I think, plastic bags or something. And someone tagged me and said, AKINYI, someone tagged my name and said, look at this. So then I responded and said, oh, that's a creative child, should join Wanawatindo. And then the parents who started now asking what is it, and that's how Debbie's mom was able to, follow through that chat. And she really, really was persistent, got me on Instagram, found me. And then I also learned I'd met her sometime 2 years ago in a ballet dancing concert.
Yes.
And she was like, I want my daughter to join. And they registered Debbie. Amongst, we have very other many kids who come. And for me, what's very important is to see parents who can be able to tell that my child is creative and I'm going to support her. And it touches my heart to see parents who are very supportive to their children and pushing it and doing the payment each stage, and they don't want them to keep a stage. So Debbie has she's on her 4th course, waiting to do the Mwanabiashara, the last one. So once she's done, then she does the last one. But just to see the children express themselves, create their designs. I mean, look at Debbie. The scarf she's wearing is done by her. She already has a brand. She sells them for
3,000.
She sells them. And for me, that again gives me the next challenge, how do I create a space for all these trainees to sell and other young designers to come and sell. So as I say, I'm very solution oriented. So many parents reach out to us just through contact, and then there are those who see that they've been able to watch my journey, and they say, AKINYI, we can tell your journey from where you started to where you're going. We can tell that there's growth, and we'd love our children to be just part of this. So that's how I got to get Debbie and many other kids who have been part of us.
So tell me about a typical experience at Wanawatindo. What's a day like?
Well, the first thing I do is I come in, I put my bags down, and I thread the machine according to the color of fabric I'm using. Then after I thread the machine, the instructor goes ahead and tells me like the theory side of what I'll be doing, and then after that, I either do a draft or a sketch, and then we go source the fabric. And once I found fabric, I can now draft my sketch. A draft is like a template, so I can cut the fabric. So it's so right after I've cut the fabric, I can now sew the fabric together.
Amazing, absolutely amazing. AKINYI, thank you so much for having been on Double O Direct. Any parting words for fans of AKINYI Odongo, or new customers for AKINYI Odongo, or students who want to join MEFA Institute of Design, or parents looking for a creative space for their children?
Thank you so much for this opportunity, Olivia. For me, it's about the next generation and passing on the baton to the next people. And then I just like this, what an opportunity to, just show that you can actually pass on what you have to the next generation.
Thank you.
All the parents who are out there, schools, like there's a long school holiday that is closing from next month, about 2 months or 3 months of school closure. Join us, bring your kids so that they're able to join into the Wanawatindo program.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you so much. Have a wonderful, wonderful weekend.
Yeah, thank you.